Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, and along for the ride is Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How you doing, guys?
Very good.
Hey.
All right, and we have our special guest this week. We have our co-commish, Richard Colasino. How you doing, commish? Co-commish.
I'm doing good, Mark. It's always a pleasure to be on with a media giant such as yourself.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, what is that you drinking? Yeah, send that over to me or smoking. Well, you're on the West Coast, so it's some of that California ganja or something like that. Some California stuff out there.
No. I'm an old man. I don't do that stuff anymore. I'm clean.
Yeah, old man. Okay, they did that stuff in the 60s and the 70s, so you can't be that much older than me. So that stuff was still going on out there back then. So. All right, so we have week 14 in the books. We're going to go ahead and run through the games from last week. There was a couple of upsets out there, a couple of little close games out there. There were some games that we thought teams that were underdogs, so they were going to pull it out, but came up just a bit short. In our first segment, the second segment, hey, you know what time it is. It's time for those playoffs. So we're going to dive in there again, how the playoffs shake out after the games from week 14. And then we will jump into the week 15 games. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and jump right into this and get this week's show started. So, starting off with our first game, we have Jacksonville hosting Indianapolis. This is a game that Indy needed to take, that they needed to win. Jacksonville pushed them, but came up just a bit short as Indy took this one 40-31. We're going to start with you, Rich.
All right. Well, this was a kind of a fun game. 71 points scored by two teams who just do not know how to play defense. That's just, Colts Pickett with 360, Ford with 3 touchdowns, but neither team can play defense, and that will be what stops the Colts' playoff dreams. If they're giving up 31 to Jacksonville, they're not going to make it this year. What do you think, Mitch?
Well, Rich, the thing that really stood out to me in this game was just the grit and just the heart of Jerome Ford. Ever since he was cut and let go by Seattle after being a top draft pick of theirs a few seasons back, he has just been an absolute beast on the goal line. 3 touchdowns this week against Jacksonville. And I'm sure, Seattle wishes they had someone with that kind of hard-nosed ability to score touchdowns, but
no, not really.
Doing it for Indy. He's doing it for Indy. So I don't know. What do you think, Dean?
How come hold on. If that's the case, how come he didn't do that last week when Indy played Seattle? Go ahead, Dean.
Not so fast. I mean, Jerome Ford getting 3 yards per carry on 8 attempts. I mean, this is the ridiculosity of that's probably a new word I coined. The ridiculosity of whatever the algorithm here that chooses his players of the week. I mean, he's player of the week because he happened to cross the goal line 3 times and score touchdowns. I mean, he ran for 24 yards on 8 attempts. Pathetic numbers. The real
those are the toughest yards in football are those last 3 yards at the goal line. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Touchdowns pay money. Touchdowns pay money.
He only did that 3 times. That doesn't account for the 5 times he did the ball where he underperformed, where he could have run much more than 3 yards. I mean, I said not so fast, you're missing the story here. The real story here is the massive underperformance of George P., who only had 24 yards of total offense himself. Had he had a 100-yard catching, receptions performance kind of day, Jacksonville might have actually won this game instead of losing by 9 points. So, that player of the game thing is a distraction. The real issue is the underperformance of George P. in this game.
Start coming out the gate talking trash. Man. Next game.
He's the master of trash talk, especially when it comes to your team, Mark.
Exactly.
No one talks more Seattle than he does.
Uh-huh. All right. Next game up, we have Mox and his New England Patriots taking on the who? Houston Oilers. But we're not going to get too excited about that because Mox pushed him to the brink, and it took something in the final quarter to actually, I think almost towards the end, to have him pull this one out as Mitch kept himself going with his team by taking this one 30-25. Dean. Excuse me. Dean,
yeah, we watched this Discord as well. And, Mox almost did pull off the upset here, and I thought he might do it. I didn't predict it last week because I've not always been confident in the Patriots this season. But Mox almost pulled it off, and I think, if he ties up a few loose ends in his game planning process and his profiles, this is the kind of game that the Patriots can win because they almost did. They outscored the Houston Oilers in total yards, had almost as much rushing, more passing. The Patriots almost pulled out this win, and they came very close to doing that as we saw in watching the game. So future seasons, a Houston at New England game might be a New England win.
All right, Rich.
Well, let's look at the big picture here. The Oilers just won their 7th straight. That's the most important thing here. And the Patriots, 2 weeks in a row, I believe, have gagged leads going into the second half. They got shut out against the Cardinals in the second half, blew that game. This game, they got shut out the last 25 minutes, blowing a 12-point lead. The real story is the Patriots stink in the second half lately, and they're blowing these games. So hats off to the Oilers for 7 in a row. That's all that matters.
All right, Coach, talk to us.
Yeah, I heard a lot of what ifs and maybes and should haves and could have been.
If I coulda, woulda, shoulda.
All I know is that Houston just won a game. Their 7th in a row, as Rich said, and that's what I was thinking too. Is I think it's more of how does New England blow a 2-touchdown lead in the second half at home, or is it, man, what grit does Baker Mayfield have to bring that team back on the road with the playoffs on the line? The old man got it done, so we'll take it.
Well, for those guys that have been out there that are, in my age range, born in the 60s or 70s, there's a song by Lou Rawls called If I Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda. And I don't know if Mitch has that one tune keyed up, but he's going to have that one later on. So as the lyric says, if I coulda, woulda, shoulda, that's what folks always say. So you tried, Mox, just a little bit short. And like Rich said, I know firsthand that if you don't tighten up the second half profile, this is what will happen. And it happened to you twice in a row. So, got to tighten them up. Next game up, we have L.A. hosting Pittsburgh. And, I don't know where L.A.'s offense was. One touchdown, that's not going to get it, as Pittsburgh took this one 17-7. Mitch.
Yeah, this one here, to me, really wasn't even competitive. And the score was low, so it was still fairly close. But Pittsburgh absolutely dominated this game. And what stood out to me, I don't know if for all those who were able to be on Discord Friday night, but watching Lardieri for Pittsburgh just, all over the field defensively. He was a disruptor all game long, and just gave Herbert an absolute fit. And maybe they should have stuck with the rookie. Maybe he was hurt. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I don't know. But Lardieri, if you go back and watch that game and just follow Lardieri around the field, he was an absolute disruptor.
All right, Dean.
Yeah, I haven't answered your question mark as to where the Chargers offense was. It was in the form of Caleb Williams sitting on the bench, not playing this game. Herbert is not the quarterback of the present or the future for the Chargers. These numbers are clear. I mean, he went 13 for 28 and threw an interception. I mean, we've seen with quarterbacks, they may have good skill ratings on the roster, but some of them play to those ratings and some of them don't. And clearly Herbert is one who doesn't. So, I've been saying the same thing about Daniel Jones for the Giants. He doesn't get the job done and throws interceptions as well. The wrong starting quarterback is not going to lead your team to wins or your offense to much success in the field.
Right. Rich.
No, this isn't about the Charger offense. This is about the Steeler defense. Don't fall asleep on this. The Steelers may have one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in the league. The guy knows how to coach defense. The Chargers didn't score the last 37 minutes of the game. The Chargers didn't cross midfield except for one time they got to the Steeler 45 in that time. I mean, that was suffocating defense. That's what this game was about. The Chargers are going to score points. They just, they came up against the defense they weren't ready for. So Pittsburgh is going to be dangerous in the playoffs because they can stop you. So good luck to whoever they play.
All right. Next up, we have Shuggy and his Green Bay Packers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. And another tight game, separated by 1 touchdown. But in the end, Vegas took this one 38-31. We are going to start this one off with Rich.
There were 7 lead changes in this game in a meaningless game, but it was fun, though. Both quarterbacks threw 3 touchdowns, and it took a 47-yard bomb for a touchdown with a minute left to win the game. No defense, but entertaining. Game didn't mean a thing to either team, but it was fun to watch, though. Good for Shuggy for keeping us entertained, and we'll move on to the next week.
All right, Mitch.
Yeah, this, it was fun. Neither team's going anywhere, but it definitely was fun for Friday night frolics, watching Shuggy's heart get broken again. So, sorry, Shuggy.
All right,
over to you, Dean.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers did some things, as I said they would, but the Raiders did just a little bit more of them and scored 7 more points. Both teams were 60% or higher in third down conversion, so that might be an indictment of the defenses here. So, but it was a good high-scoring game, fun to watch, and definitely can't complain. I mean, all of these games have to be worth watching, some of them because the teams are headed to the playoffs and some of them because they're not, and they'll just be interesting to watch.
All right. Next up, we have San Francisco hosting Denver, and I would say this is probably a game that San Francisco needed, but they came up just short by a field goal as Denver took this one 28-25. Dean, you're up.
Well, yeah, the 49ers needed this game, but they had the help of Chicago losing too, so it didn't really change the race between those two teams for the last playoff spot. But I had predicted that Denver would win this game. I thought Denver would just have a little bit more to bring to the table. And, well, they had 110 more yards to bring to the table, and that was enough to win this game by a field goal.
All right. Rich.
This was a game of 2 halves. Broncos 16-0 at halftime. 49ers looked dead. 49ers scored 25 second-half points, tied the game, so good for them. And then basically came down to 135-yard drive for the Broncos to win it. I don't think the 49ers needed this game. They got an easy schedule the rest of the way. They just need 1 win or 1 Chicago loss, and they've clinched. I think both teams acquitted themselves very well. The real story is Denver right now has got the 1 seed in the AFC, which is kind of surprising. That's a change of guard in the AFC right before our eyes. So look out for Denver. What do you think, Mitch?
I think that San Francisco disappoints me, and they are dead to me. I was really wanting them to win this.
Goddamn, Charlie.
Charlie is dead to me now. No, it was this is a game that you expected to be good, right? Or on paper you thought it was going to be a good game, and it ended up being that way. I will say it is a little. It's been surprising to see Denver's offense come to life. At least yardage-wise, the last few weeks, they've tended to be more of a defensive-led team. But what jumped off the page again, just like with Pittsburgh, following a lot of the area around the field. If you really want to see defense put, to just absolute high levels, Pro Bowl caliber levels, go back and watch Lloyd for Denver. Just an absolute beast. Now, he only shows up with 3 tackles and 1 sack in the game, but his presence was felt every play. Just go back and watch. Go back and watch. Get your slow clicker and watch Lloyd. Absolute beast.
Mitch, you made a point about the Broncos defense. That is one thing that's not being noticed is the Bronco defense is leaking a bit. It's not as good as Pittsburgh's defense. So look for that in the playoffs, that if the Denver doesn't tighten up their defense again, they could be one and done. So they got to be careful.
Yeah, they gave up a bunch of points and yards last week, and last week's opponent wasn't as good as San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. All right, next game up, we have this is going to be interesting. The New York Jets hosting the Washington Redskins as the Redskins took this one 35-15. Mitch.
Jets are basically running on a break at the glass in case of emergency PPPs right now. So this great win for Washington gives them another W, keeps them in the race for that top seed over in the NFC. But don't read too much into this. When the playoffs get here, the Jets will find their way again. I guarantee it. So that's all I got to say about this one.
All right. Dean.
I think that Jets PP was purchased at the dollar store. But Jerry did some really good coaching here with his Washington team. He scored 200. They ran up 288 yards in passing, 160 yards in passing. In rushing, very balanced, effective. Went for a 4th down and got it. And the defense of Washington held the Jets to only 15 points, which doesn't happen very often. I think Jerry probably did a good job of scouting the Jets and put together a solid game plan of his own. Had 40 minutes and 55, almost 41 minutes of time of possession. Who does that to the Jets? I know many of us have said ideally the way you would beat the Jets is if you have that kind of time of possession and keep the Jets offense off the field, and many try that and haven't succeeded because the Jets defense has usually been pretty good, so you can't usually get that kind of time of possession against the Jets defense. But Jerry did it, and it worked. And look at the score. He won by 20 points and pushed the Jets out of first place in the AFC overall.
All right. Rich.
Yeah, there's not much to add here. It was a dominant performance start to finish. Jets didn't show up. Mac Jones, 33%. A couple that's touchdowns was a kickback, a run. They ran a kickback for a touchdown. So they really only had one drive all game. 5 in a row for Jerry. Good for him. I don't really put this game is meaningless for I don't think the Jets are really trying or care. So good for Jerry to keep pace with Philly as best he can. But we move on.
All right. Next game up, we have the Minnesota Vikings hosting the New York Giants, and they stay on their roll by taking this one 31-22. Rich.
Yeah, the score and the stats make this game seem close, but Minnesota was never threatened in this game. They had the lead the entire game. Locke with 4 touchdowns, player of the week. Barkley, 3.3 per, did nothing. The game felt easy and not very exciting. It was rather business as usual for Barney and the Vikings. So the Giants, it looks good on paper, but it really was. It didn't even look like a 9-point game.
All right. Mitch.
Yeah, well, I really looked at this game, and you really have to get into the weeds to see, the true brilliance of what Minnesota did. And the person I want to point out to is center Luke Wattenberg. What he did to keep that front line, in the right calls, helping, Drew Lock. Drew Lock isn't player of the game without Luke Wattenberg really leading the way and playing the game. He is really the captain of that offense. Drew Lock is just kind of riding his coattails, literally being under center of Luke Wattenberg. So just great game by Wattenberg in that line.
Dean.
Well, the Giants started Anthony Richardson, a quarterback there, should be current and future starting quarterback, and he played respectably, completed 53% of his passes, didn't have a touchdown pass, did not throw an interception either. But, the Giants didn't really face so much of a chance. They put up a bit of a fight. It wasn't as close, as Rich noted, as the score shows. But, they did do some things, and it could have been a 31-0 shutout. So.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. My screen just went blank. Oh, gotta pull it back up. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see, Mitch. Rich, you comment on this one. Rich, you're up.
I already commented on that one.
All right. Yeah, my screen.
Yeah, we've all commented. I think we all
You want me to repeat what I said?
No, my screen.
Well, Mitch is right about that center. He had a heck of a game.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk more about Wattenberg and where he's from.
No, my screen just went blank.
He had
you guys see what I deal with over here? You see what I deal with over here?
He actually played both ways in high school. He was a great defensive tackle as well.
Okay. I think your technical difficulties threw you off, Mark. You can probably just edit this whole
Exactly. I can chop that out. Yep.
Transition straight into.
Oh, leave it in, Mark. It's all part of the fun. You got to leave it in. There's no reason to edit this. Just let it go.
I'll give the people what they want. What the hell?
And Mitch, how about that team-friendly contract he has too? I mean,
I know, isn't it nice? I know he's in his 6th year. I mean, he'll be leading the line for Minnesota for a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next game.
Great GMing. That's the brilliance of Barney, not just as an on-the-field coach, but as a GM.
He's a genius.
Notes. I know. Take notes what he's doing there.
I see it.
See, what they don't know is that, sidebar, I can pause them and mute them.
Yeah, I see a future spin-off show of Mitch hosting a spin-off of the show.
And because they've all dialed in, they can't hear me when I mute them.
He's going to profile a third.
You didn't mute him, did you, Mark? Let it slide.
He's gonna profile important players like backup fullbacks and third string, guards and stuff like this in his spin-off show.
Yeah,
I think I'd get more ratings.
Oh man, okay, I gotta admit we're having a little bit of fun here now. I like this. Next game up, as we come down to our final games, we have the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Dean came up short as Philly took this one 16-10. Rich.
Yeah, this was a bad game. I was expecting a higher scoring, more fun game. Falcons take a quick 10-0 lead, and then they don't score the next 50 minutes. And the Eagles, 3 points in the first half, pecked away in the second half. This game was really, really kind of boring. But the Philly wins their 7th in a row. They still got the 1 seed in the league, which blows me away. And we'll see where it takes them. But it wasn't much of a game. So, Mitch, what do you got?
Well, I've seen more fright from birds at Kentucky Fried Chicken than I did at this game on Friday night. Similar. I was expecting kind of a wild kind of game, and it was. But Philadelphia keeps finding a way to win. So congratulations there to old James and keeping it going. Dean, what do you think?
Well, Rich had noted in reference to one of our early matchups that they were teams that didn't know how to play defense. I mean, here in this game, you had the team that seems to be playing some of the best defense in the league playing definitely the one team that doesn't know how to play defense. But that team that doesn't know how to play defense held Philadelphia to 16 points. But it's been
correct, Dean. I didn't give you your props. Obviously, you did play good defense this game, and so did James. It just felt, how you watch a game sometimes and it feels like it's bad offense? There are games like that. You can't, who knows if it's true or not. This game felt like bad offense. That's my only point.
It was, and that was my next point. Because, we were watching this game in Discord, and Sean said, well, something like, do you realize your team is leading 10-0? I said, yeah, well, it hold, though. My offense did a few things in the first quarter and then didn't show up for the rest of the game. The offense was just absolutely terrible, not to say that the Eagles' offense wasn't a whole lot better either. It was bad offense all around, but especially that's one thing my team has done. That every once in a while my team will play defense, and when they do, they don't play complementary offense. So you see games like this.
Okay. Last game that we have for the week, we have the Seattle Seahawks hosting the Chicago Cardinals. And Seattle took this one in an upset 21-7. Mitch.
Wow. This just shows how far Chicago has fallen off this season. They get beaten by 2 touchdowns by Seattle. I think that confirms that Chicago was tanking it here most of this season. But I tell you, what you really want to zero in on, though, for this game, you might think, it's Zach Wilson and his 227, or Najee Harris and his 44 yards and no. What you really want to zero in on is Burr Kareev, or Curvin, however you pronounce his name. Now, granted, he had 1 tackle and 1 sack, but the way he was getting leverage on the blockers in this game, the way he was able to maneuver around, really, really is just from an FB Pro purist standpoint, is beautiful to watch. And so I don't know how many of you all turned this game off at halftime because you were snoozing, but go back and watch Burke Teven, because that is an absolute master class at leverage in this game.
No, well, does nothing make this man happy? Nothing. I think he bet on this game and he bet against us. And hey, look, it doesn't matter how. I think Rich had said earlier, it doesn't matter, how you get the win as long as you get the win. So, Dean, you're up.
I only picked 3 games correctly last weekend, but this was one of them. And I noticed Mr. Trash Talk over there doesn't even give you any respect. No respect here for beating the Cardinals by 2 touchdowns. And other than the talk of this one obscure defensive player that none of us have heard of, not giving overall credit to the Seahawks for playing very solid defense and holding the mighty Chicago Cardinals offense to 1 touchdown. That's the real story of the game here. Say what you will about the Seahawks offense here, scoring 21 points and how they did it, and they didn't put up big stats, but they found a way to get the ball into the end zone 3 times. But the defense of the Seahawks holding Chicago to 7 points is what won this game.
All right. Rich.
I want you to imagine a world where Seattle starts the game with the ball, 1, 2, 3, punt, whatever. Then they punt it to Chicago. Chicago scores a touchdown in less than 3 minutes, 7-0 quickly, and then they don't score for the next 55 minutes. How the hell is that possible? Neither team played well offensively. Mark, you had a couple of short fields. You got a fumble, scored a touchdown. You had a nice punt return, scored a touchdown. You had a bomb to score a touchdown. Your defense shut them out for 55 minutes. Nice job to you. I don't know how that happened. When Chicago scores to make it 7-0 early, it feels like one of those games that's going to be 38-40. He's going to just blow you out. And 55 minutes you shut him out for. That is impressive. It really is. So congratulations to the Hawks.
Well, thank you. I tried to get some stuff tweaked on the second half because I think the previous week you mentioned about the second half PPP and, those final couple minutes. But, yeah, it's hey, I don't care what Mitch says. I'll take the damn win. That's all I care about. And I think Rich said also it doesn't matter how you get the win as long as you get the win. Damn everything else. So.
And notice it's one of your safeties. It's a player of the week.
Yep, I noticed that. And I'm trying to remember which play it was. There was a crucial play that he had made. I just got to figure out which one. I had to go back and look at it again because name sounds familiar when I looked at it in the log. So, yeah, play log.
Well, it's because if you go back, most of the plays that Tyson Anderson was making was because Burke-Reeve was getting his the blocker off of him.
Should I hit the mute button?
Go back and
where's that damn mute button at again? I need. You know what? I think I'm gonna have each person on their own channel next time, so I can either just mute him or just slowly fade him off.
Anderson
fade him off into the sunset.
I
think that's what we'll do. We'll just kind of fade him off into the sunset and call it a day.
BK had a sack and he had about 4 or 5 pressures, which did help. And
and that's the thing. You can't see it on the stat sheet because it doesn't show on the stat sheet on the website. But our manual tally of pressures and quarterback hurries. I mean,
BK was the man.
Player of the game. Yeah, he should.
Mitch, he likes to be called BK. Just go.
Thanks for letting me know. That's right.
Yeah,
I said he was giving it. He was giving it to the Chicago their way. That's for sure.
Mark, I have an explanation. I think this creative commentary we're hearing is done under the influence of the mushroom pizza that Mox sent him.
No, I think what would have happened if Mox would have beat him, I don't think he would be so damn chipper. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, I tell you, nobody wants to play Houston, man. Nobody wants a piece of Houston.
Okay. I will. You know what? I will save that clip. I will save that clip and use it in the playoffs when he goes down.
Nobody wants to play Houston.
All right, we're gonna move over to our middle segment, and right now. The topic here is playoffs. Right now, over on the AFC side, we have the New York Jets sitting at 10-4, Indianapolis Colts at 8-6, New England Patriots at 5-9, Jacksonville at 4-10. On the East, in the West, you have Denver at 10-4. Pittsburgh and Houston at 9-5, LA at 8-6, and Las Vegas sitting at 2-12. Over on the NFC side in the East, you have Philadelphia at 12-2, Washington at 11-3, Atlanta 2-12, and the New York Giants at 1-13. Over on the West, you have Minnesota at 11-3. San Francisco 9-5, Chicago 7-7, Seattle 5-9, and Green Bay at 3-11. So we're gonna go ahead and run through this. We'll just keep the whole thing open. You guys pick any segment that you want, each side you want. But we're gonna go ahead and start off with Rich. You see the numbers, you see the teams every day in and out. So, what's your overall view of the playoffs at this season?
In the AFC, it's going to be Denver 1, Jets 2, and then we got to fight for the last 2. It looks like, though, Pittsburgh could run. See, I think Houston and LA are going to be tied. They could be tied at the end of this. I don't know who has the tie break in this because they both look like they're 4-3 in the division right now. But Houston could get picked off by Barney, and that's going to be a problem. Los Angeles' schedule is pretty easy. Denver's schedule is easy. Pittsburgh has the Jets. I don't think the Jets are really going to be anything more than a speed bump at this point for the Steelers. So I don't know. I think Houston and Los Angeles are going to battle for that last spot. The Colts are going to be done. The Colts will lose this week, and that'll finish them. In the NFC, I think we're done. We're pretty much done, right? It's Philly 1, Minnesota 2, Washington 3, and the 49ers are 98% in. I think if the Niners lost 2 and Chicago won 2, Chicago would actually get in, which makes it curious why Justin is releasing his star players at this point. He's not officially eliminated, and he cut a cornerback and he cut a defensive end. I'm not really sure why he's doing that so quickly, but I know Jerry plucked the cornerback and Mitch has got a bid on the defensive end, so we'll see where that goes. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun playoffs. We've got some good teams. We're going to have a new champion, and we could have a completely new final 2 teams in the Super Bowl this year. We could have brand new teams. It could be Pittsburgh, Denver. It could be Philly. I mean, who knows? It's going to be a lot of fun this season.
All right.
Dean, what do you think?
Yeah, on one point that you made, I think Minnesota is going to take care of Chicago this coming week, so that will confirm that San Francisco will be the 4th team in the NFC, and the
Niners also have an easy schedule too. So you're right. I mean, it's 99.9%. The Niners are going to get in.
I mean, it's all but mathematically eliminated. I mean, in other words, Chicago is pretty much out, although they're not actually mathematically eliminated. And we're also going to have a game between Washington and Philadelphia this week that will probably decide the NFC East and may help decide whether.
I think Philly has tiebreakers, though. I think that's the key there. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure James said he would have to lose both games, I think, to blow. I think James has tiebreaks over Washington. So, like in the division right now, Philly's 4-0, Washington's 2-2. So even if Washington wins,
if Philadelphia wins, they clinch the division.
Yeah, but if they lose, they're still leading the division. That's the point. So it looks good for Philly.
Yeah, they would have to lose both games, and Washington would have to win both. In other words, they would have to finish 12-4, and Washington would have to be 13-3.
Yeah.
Which Washington going 2-0 and Philly going 0-2, which doesn't seem likely, but it's mathematically possible. In the AFC, I don't know what will determine whether the division. I don't know what will determine the winner of the AFC West, but Denver is ahead a game. But Denver controls their own destiny. They just have to win their last 2 games, finish 12-4, and they'll probably be the number 1 seed. If they lose 1 or 2 of those games, then a lot of different things can happen. Then you have Pittsburgh and Houston 9-5. The Chargers are not out of 8-6. Do LA and Houston play another game before the end of the season? I believe they do, right?
No, we don't. We've already played and split.
No.
Yeah, I agree that Indianapolis is probably not going to make it. I mean, they're probably still mathematically in it right now, but another loss will end that. The Jets will win the division, but, if the Jets are going to go into the playoffs with a PPP that they got for the dollar store, they're not going to last too long.
All right, Mitch, what do you got?
Well, let's see. I think what Rich was saying is pretty much what I'm thinking too. I mean, the NFC is pretty baked. That's it is what it is. The AFC still has a lot of moving parts, but it is beginning to take some shape. From my standpoint, though, it's like, seriously, okay. Every team that I'm in the middle of a fight with, Denver. Let's see, who are they playing? Seattle. Great. Okay, that's wonderful. I gotta hope Seattle pulls one out of the rear end against Denver, And then Denver plays Indianapolis, which maybe Indianapolis, if they can somehow win this week against the Jets, maybe they're, still fighting in Week 16. But, who knows? I look at, Pittsburgh, and, Pittsburgh, they get New England for crying out loud. So I got to hope Mox beats Pittsburgh. Well, that ain't going to happen. And then you got to go over, and then they play the Jets, which we know the Jets are kind of, floating, so that's probably going to happen either. Then it's like, all right, well, let's look at Los Angeles. Okay, good. Crap. I got to hope Jacksonville beats Los Angeles. Jiminy Christmas. Are you kidding me? And then I go over, and then they play Las Vegas, which I play Vegas, so hopefully, I can knock them off, and then, maybe they'll step up and beat Los Angeles. But they're the least of my worries, though, since I'm already ahead of Los Angeles. But still, I'm like, man, alive. Yeah, no help here based on the schedule maker out there. So I have to just do it myself and then win out and just hope that, hope that Denver and Pittsburgh, stumble against these teams.
Don't blame the schedule maker. Blame your 2 and 5 start.
That's the schedule maker there. They gave me all the Super Bowl teams in the first 4 weeks.
Well,
no.
Looking at the standings, Mitch, if you split and Los Angeles wins 2, which is it could happen very easily. You and Steve are divisional tie, conference tie. I don't know what the next tiebreaker is, but that's my point. Is you and Steve are very likely to have to go down to the tie breaks a couple times.
Isn't it the point? Isn't point 4 the next thing? How many points you have for?
I don't remember. I really don't have it in front of me. I'm not sure, but it looks like everything will be tied. If Mitch were to win and then lose to Minnesota, and their divisional and conference records are going to be identical. So,
I think what happens is after you get to the 4th tiebreaker, Steve and I have to fly to Kansas City and do an arm wrestling match.
No, I think they have to play poker online to determine who gets the last spot.
Or rock, paper, scissors on Zoom. I think maybe that's what it is.
There you go.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting.
All right. We're going to move on over to our last segment, which is, which they were kind of alluding to earlier, is our Week 15 games. We have one pick'em game out there. I see 4 teams or 4 games with more than a 10-point spread. And the rest of them is under that. I think the closest one we have is a 3.5-point spread. So we're going to go ahead and jump right on into this with our first game up for Week 15. We have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the New York Jets. They are giving the Jets 8.5. We're going to start with Rich.
Yeah, this feels like 65 points will be scored combined. Jets won't cover. They'll win, I don't know, they'll win 33-30, something crazy like that. This is the problem with when you just mail it in, is your defense goes first. The Jet defense has been awful all season long. Just look at the numbers; they're terrible. But they'll score points against the Colts. I like the Jets to win, but not cover.
All right, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of feeling that too, especially since Indianapolis is the home team this week. I'll go with New York, but I think it's going to be closer than the spread.
All right, Dean.
I think there's going to be an upset this week. I think Tim is going to scout the Jets and put together a good performance, and he may still not make the playoffs, but I think this will be a close win for Indianapolis.
All right, I'm going to take the Jets on this one. They'll put up a good fight, but I think this is the one that the Jets is going to end their season and move on from there. Next game up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on Mox and the Patriots. They are giving the Steelers 10.5. Mitch.
Yeah, Steelers are going to. Yeah, I mean, Steelers might win, 10.5 to nothing. But the New England won't score much on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh all the way.
All right, Dean.
Not so fast. Marshall score some points on that defense, no matter how good it is. He's getting better at his offense, and he's going to clean up that profile and do some things right. And Patriots are going to pull off an upset. Okay. Chaos will be introduced in these last 2 weeks of the season. Patriots win.
All right, Rich.
The Steelers will win. They'll cover. Lead pipe lock. Just put it in. It's guaranteed. Patriots have scored in the last 2 weeks. I don't like the Patriots in Pittsburgh at all.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Steelers for this one for the win as well. Next one up, we have the LA Chargers taking on Jacksonville. They are giving the Chargers 9.5. Dean.
Chargers will win and cover.
All right, Rich.
I think the Chargers will win. I don't think they'll cover. I'm not sure what state of mind Steve is in. I don't know. I think the Jags will keep it kind of close, but I think the Chargers will win the game.
All right, Mitch.
Yeah, it's going to be the Chargers because I need them to lose. It'll be the Chargers.
All right, I'll go with the Chargers also. It's going to keep that race in there going tight with you guys. Next game up, we have the Houston Oilers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. They are giving the Oilers 13.5. Rich.
Yeah, well, this is obviously a pretty ridiculous line for the Oilers, who always keep it close. So I would take the Raiders and the points. The Oilers will win the game, but it'll be 24-20, something like that. Oilers will win, but won't cover.
All right, Dean.
No confidence in the Oilers' offense?
No, the Oilers never. I mean, Mitch, when's the last time you blew somebody out? It just doesn't. I don't even know why. I made that line really high because the Raiders have got 1 win or 2 wins. But
I think it was maybe 20-34 when I beat Jacksonville, like 52-20 or something. Maybe I don't know.
Well, I don't think
you're generous. You're generous.
I don't think it's ridiculous at all. I mean, not only is this game the most easy game to pick of the week, it's the most easy game to pick of the season. I'm not only putting a lead pipe lock on this game of the week, this is a lead pipe lock of the season. Oilers are going to easily win this game.
All right, Mitch.
Yeah, Houston's going to win this game, and then, roll dice and hope that somebody can beat one of these other teams. But Houston will win.
All right, I agree. I'll go with Houston for the victory as well this week. Next game up is our only pick'em game this week. We have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Washington Redskins. Mitch.
Oh, boy. You know what? I think the Redskins are going to take this game. I do. I think the Redskins are going to take this game, and I think James is going to be walking into the playoffs with his tail between his legs. Hail to the Skins. Hail to the Skins.
All right. Dean.
Not so fast. This game is going to be a changing of the guard in the NFC East, as well as the Redskins played last week, and as poorly as the Eagles played, the offense played last week, that is. That is why the Eagles' offense is going to get it together. They're going to solve the Redskins' defense. It's going to be a close, tough game, but the Eagles are going to win this game at home.
Okay. Rich.
Yeah, I like Washington this week. I think the Redskins are peaking at the right time. They're playing really well lately, and it's kind of not being noticed because the Eagles are playing so well. And Mitch, of course, has won 7 in a row, but the Redskins have won 5 straight, and they're playing really well, balanced. Redskins are going to be dangerous in these playoffs. Don't sleep on Jerry here.
All right. Whereas everybody took the easy pick'em games, I mean easy lead pipe block games. I'm gonna take this one and put my chips in. Oh, I gotta roll with my fellow Michigander this week. I'm gonna pick Philly for the win, and I'm gonna put them down for my lead pipe block. Oh, that just doesn't sound right. Just okay, Philly. Yeah. Ugh, that doesn't seem right. Anyway,
But
okay.
you're still doing You're not taking the win.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know, just saying that just left a bad taste. Oh well, anyway. Next game up, we have San Francisco taking on the New York Giants. They are giving the Niners 10.5. Dean, you're up.
The 49ers are going to win.
All right, Rich.
Yeah, I like the 49ers will clinch their spot this week. I have 10. It's 10.5. You know, the 49ers, I am so wrong on the 49ers every week. I don't think they'll cover, but they just seem to keep covering. So, 49ers.
All right, Mitch. Mitch. Did he mute us?
He must have muted us.
Sorry, I was taking a bite of my sandwich watching the news. I apologize. No, I'll go with the lead pipe lock of San Francisco over the Giants.
All right. Next game up.
Sandwiches watching news should be banned while we're doing this show.
There you go. Only alcohol. Next game up, we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Atlanta Falcons. They are giving the Packers 3.5. Rich.
I don't know. I'm gonna say that it'll be hilarious and entertaining. I don't know who's gonna win the game. I hope Atlanta wins just to listen to Shuggy's commentary while it's happening. So let's go Atlanta.
All right, Mitch.
I'm going to go with whoo-wee. You know what? Just for the entertainment value alone, I'm going with Green Bay this week. Let's go, Shugs.
All right, Dean.
Hilarious and entertaining sounds like my entire season this season. So we're going to be just a little bit more hilarious and a little bit more entertaining in this game.
All right. All right. I'm gonna go. I'm a root for Dean this week. You got to pull this one off. You got to pull this one out. So, coming down to our last two games, we have the Chicago Cardinals taking on the Minnesota Vikings. They are giving the Vikings 6.5. Mitch.
Ooh.
Just get your pom out. We already know who you're gonna pick. Go.
Man, I tell you what, if this was the Chicago Bears, I would have to think twice playing Minnesota, but it's not. So I'm going with the Vikings.
As if we didn't know. Dean.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with that. The Vikings are going to win this game and try to keep any chance, it might be mathematical at this point, of being the number one seed overall, but they may just be in good shape still to be the number 2 seed going into the playoffs with winning the division.
All right. Rich.
Well, after Justin dumped his 2 top players, the spread should really be 10.5. The Minnesota will win this game probably easily. I mean, the Chicago can't even score more than 7 points against Seattle, so Minnesota.
All right. I'll keep it simple. Minnesota. Last game up, we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Seattle Seahawks. As you know, the Seahawks loves, misery loves company, but they are giving the Broncos 13.5. Dean.
Yeah, Seahawks just get no respect at all. They're like the Rodney Dangerfield of the PNFL. But the Broncos are a pretty tough team, especially at home, and they are wanting to get that number 1 overall seed in the playoffs. So I think Denver will find a way to win this game at home.
All right. Rich.
Well, you don't get respect off of 1 win. So Denver's highly motivated. 13.5 is a lot of points. I hope you keep it closer than that. But I'm taking Denver, and I'm going to say it will be closer than 13.5, but Denver's going to win the game.
You know I won the last 2, right?
Well, I need more than 2 wins if you want respect.
Okay. Mitch.
No,
don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Moving on.
When I really get into the numbers, it really comes down to one player in this game that's going to decide whether.
Moving on. What's next? What do we got next?
Or if Denver can actually get this. and that's going to come down to Forrest Lamp. Yes, the 13-year veteran, Forrest Lamp, in the interior line of Seattle. If he can get, the kind of push against that Denver front that we would hope he can to open up those lanes, for the running game, that could possibly give Zach Wilson a chance to complete some passes. But I just don't know if the old man can get it done. So I'm going to go with Denver.
Well, misery loves company. Go Hawks. All right, so we are going to wrap this one up for the week. Some very interesting games out there. Hopefully we will have some more upsets coming up this week. I think it'd make it much more interesting and a lot more trash talking out there. So we're going to go around the table one last time, starting with our guest this week, Rich. Any final words?
Get those PPPs to me early. I'll play the games early, and you can watch a lot of them on Friday night.
All righty. Dean, any final words?
Yeah, just good luck to everyone, and I agree with that. Get those PPPs in, and we'll have some games to watch on Friday night, and there'll be plenty of trash talk to spread around, and plenty of hilarity and entertainment, and see you all on Friday night.
Mitch, any final words for you? Take us home, sir.
Well, hang on. Let me put my sandwich down.
Yeah, put your food down, man. Put your food down.
Let's see. It'd be nice if Seattle could, somehow win the third game in a row and beat Denver. That'd be nice. It'd be nice if, somebody could step up and beat Pittsburgh. That would be great. But, I'm not going to count on that happening.
How much you paying? How much you paying? How much you paying me?
Well, I don't know if I could. I don't know if it would even matter. That'd be like throwing money into the fire.
Well, you said you're going to give me your first round pick?
No. No. I'm not Dean. I don't give away my first round picks. So, but anyway, all I can say is at this point, Friday Night Lights will likely start at 10. And actually, Dean, probably going to need you to get us started if you can. I'm going to have some things carry me later into the night on Friday. So, Dean, hopefully you can get us started. But it should be fun
if you want.
Yeah, Dean will get us started. He'll let you know if he's going to start at 9 Eastern or 10. Then I'll join in a little bit later. But it should be another fun week. It should be a fun week with all the playoff ramifications on the line. So join when y'all can, or if you can.
Just announce 9.
All right, we're going to do it at 9 o'clock. We're announcing at 9 o'clock. Everybody, write it down, 9 o'clock. And other than that, only thing left to do now is let's get it.